Hi everyone, this is Norman Koching. I'm thrilled at the very late start. We've got two programs on tonight, both an update on the Sri Lanka versus Pakistan match, and of course the gig, the banter corner with my regular guests. So this is a bit out of the ordinary in terms of time. I apologise, but it is extremely interesting that Sri Lanka seem to have made sure that Australia, not Australia, so the Pakistan rather, are actually out of contention of winning the match at Galle. Not unlike what they did to Australia, but they had a little bit more time up their sleeve. They went well past 500. Concerned about the South African, Pakistani batting lineup, knowing that they can go past their score. So they've actually provided what would be called a so-called buffer zone, where they've allowed Sri Lanka to have a fair degree of numbers ahead. And I'll go through the scores with you right now. Let's have a little look. Some amazing discussions happening regarding Warner. I don't see Pakistan in this game now, nor do I how much. They haven't got enough time. And that's what Sri Lanka have hoped to do, because, they've effectively put themselves out of actually their own situation. So, yeah, it's a bit of a unusual one, to say the least. But yeah, Sri Lanka made sure that they won't lose, but they've actually not allowed themselves to win, you would think, because Pakistan should be able to bat out the overs, you would think, of the day. May not get the total that they've been set, but they may well be able to you would think, of the day, survive the match and have a draw. Okay, so I'm on Bora from India. How are you? Let's just look at the score of the South Africa. I keep saying South Africa, the Pakistan side. So effectively, Sri Lanka, as we know, got 378 in their first innings. Pakistan, unfortunately, only got 231, so they're behind the eight ball to start with. And then Sri Lanka batted reasonably well in the end, 8 for 360, and declared at that point to be in front by well over 500 runs. In fact, they're ahead by, unfortunately, 507, and Sri Lanka, Pakistan needed 508 to win. So effectively, Pakistan are now 1 for 43. They've lost Shafiq yet again for a relatively short innings. He's scoring a magnificent 180 in the match, the previous test match, to win the match and be the man of the match. He's out for 16. He's actually caught Walalage bowled Jayasuriya for 16, so Jayasuriya takes yet another wicket. In fact, he's now well and truly, what's how many wickets he's taken? I think he's taken an enormous number. But yeah, Imam al-Haq's on at 29. But the scorecard shows the first wicket fell at 42. So they're 1 for 43, 47 as a matter of fact. Now, and Sri Lanka are in a good position to be able to certainly not lose the match, and may well have a good chance of winning if wickets fall on what will be the fifth day. There's still a couple of hours left. They're in session 2, and they need 461 runs to win Pakistan. They're in session 2, so they haven't even reached. They're at the middle of the day, towards the end of the middle session, and they're at 1 for 47, chasing down 507, effectively 508 to win. So they're not likely to get that. So that's the situation as it stands. We'll follow very shortly with another show at 8 o'clock. I'm meant to be joined by good old Rapakshi. She's meant to be coming in, but she's not here yet. Norman, why isn't countries, Western countries, are not included? As Winston is pitched not the same as Winston. No, they're in the Americas. I think that's the difference to them. I think they're in the so-called Americas, which defines them. So let's look at the scorecards today from Pakistan. As we know, we're all out for 231. And in that innings, Ramesh Mendes got 5 wickets. Jayasuriya didn't go as hard. He got 3. Then the Sri Lankan second innings, Dhananjaya De Silva got a magnificent 109 before being run out. He was joined by Damuth Karunaratne, who got 61. And prior to that, Angela has got 35 and Chandimal 21. Juneth Walalage got 18, and Ramesh Mendes 5 and then 45. In fact, if I'm not wrong, he got runs in the first innings as well for Sri Lanka. He got Ramesh Mendes got 35, 5 wickets and 45 runs. So he certainly hasn't let down his team, has he? 35, 45s, 80 runs and 5 wickets. That's pretty commendable. Hasn't taken a wicket yet, but Jayasuriya certainly has. So Babar Azam is in now. He would expect to be in good form. Fawad Alam's up there. Mohammad Rizwan, Aga Salman, Nawaz, Naim Ali, Yasir Shah, and of course Hassan Ali and Nasim Shah as well. So it's not doesn't look like a very strong Pakistani batting lineup when you take away Shafiq, to be honest. What's my playing 11 on? Is there any change to be done? Are you talking about the Indian team against the West Indies that's slated today? I don't know. West Indies in the upcoming ones, that's still 4 hours away, guys. 4 hours. Anyway, I can't see India changing too much unless they want to give other people a go. Akshar Patel's effort last innings was fantastic. West Indies are pretty bloody ordinary. Well, I shouldn't say that because they did pretty well to make the game competitive, but they just can't win the match. They seem to get themselves in a reasonable situation, but just can't win the match. So there you go. So Pakistan, as we said, 1 for 50 now with Imam Mark on 32. Shafiq got out for 16. So Shafiq has got scores of, I think he didn't get more than he was out for a duck second ball in the first inning was 16 after getting 180 in the previous. Bit of a change of efforts there. So Sri Lanka are in the box seat to certainly not lose the match. They could well win it. Pakistan did 457 the last day, and still a bit of the day to go. If they can get 150 off today, they might have a chance, but they won't. There's enough time for Sri Lanka to win this match to get Pakistan all that. They lose a few more wickets and they can be in some deep trouble. The fact that Abdul Shafiq was caught Walalage bowled Jayasuriya for 16 after a good solid 42-run opening partnership. Yeah, that's a bit of a pity. But yeah, India versus West Indies later today. You can't get an England. South Africa is also on tonight. So they're basically playing a T20 at Bristol, the first, and they've got one eye on the T20 World Cup plans. This will be a good test to see how South Africa are, really. Should Kohli play the Zimbabwe Tours to regain his form? If he needs a mental break, I'm on board. If he needs a mental break, well, then no. Maybe he doesn't need to play. And that's probably better than not. Better than playing, I think. I would argue that he probably does need a break. So, no, I don't think he needs to play against a pretty poor Zimbabwe side, especially if he doesn't play. Jack Weatherall, what's your thoughts on Ponting's prediction? Australia and India are in the final of the World Cup. I'm thinking he's not far from right. Pakistan looms. So does England and maybe New Zealand. But that's the 5 that I would see would be the deciding teams. The rest just not there at the moment. Australia and India is the most likely pairing. Pakistan will certainly threaten, and so will England. But yeah, other than that, I can't see Sri Lanka in there. I can't see West Indies. Certainly not Bangladesh. Afghanistan, those teams may do okay, but they won't get through. So I think his prediction is not all that far from where it needs to be at. So England play South Africa later, in fact, at 3:30 in the morning my time, which is like 11 p.m. Indian time. And then you've got the match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, which we're watching now, then India versus West Indies in about 4 hours odd time. So, yeah, there's really a bit of time between those matches. But at the moment, Pakistan are 1 for 51 with Imam Al-Haq on 33 and Babar Azam 1, taking his time, clearly. Finch is a good tosser. He is. Oops, I don't want to put your time out. Jack Weatherall, that's not what I wanted to do. It was blocked for 5 minutes, so that's not too bad. Jack Weatherall, I'm sorry, you're not meant to be blocked for too long. You come back, please. I made a mistake. It's bloody terrible. It's trigger finger. Apologies to post a comment. Apologies. So Jake Weatherall, who is not really a Weatherall. I'm pretty sure it's not the real Weatherall, but Weatherall. Oh God. Weatherall. We'll come back in a minute. All of you live again before the 3rd AM. Unfortunately, which time will you? Lana will be. We'll wait and see how we go time-wise with that. I've blocked Jake Weatherall for no reason. It was a bloody error. Okay, so let's have a look here. I'm getting notices saying it's not really much. The Apple TV is here. So watch. Basically, we're going to get this up. Jake Weatherall will be back in a second. So I should have been on earlier. I know. I apologise for that. But I just had a day that I was more out of office than in. Day that I was more out of office than in. But yeah, it's yes, his name is similar to. Day that I was more out of office than in. Yeah, so we've got to Jack will be back in a short while. I think he was just unfortunately accidentally blocked. Not right. Whether it was blocked for 5 minutes or so.
Hope India will win lots of medals. We are here to cheer. Win, win, win.
We're getting some interesting coverage of the Commonwealth Games, of course, which is certainly going to be on very shortly in the airways, and the women's side will be there. Well, bat Tim David, so our bats is a bit longer. Yeah, well, Jake Weatherall is going to come back. I'm sorry that it was blocked accidentally there. Kunal Sharma is playing up a little bit here. Champagne bottles here from somebody. I don't know who she's with. Here, business. Waiting to see what's going on. Okay, so again, at the moment, Sri Lanka 1 for 55 with Imam Al Haq on 35, Babur Azam at 5. So they're still 451 runs in arrears, and it's a pretty difficult state of affairs, as a matter of fact, for them to get back from there, you would think. Yes. Weatherall, Jake Weatherall's with a D. Okay, so Imam Al Haq not at 35, Babur Azam 5, and we've got a total here of 1 for 57 now. They're clicking along with the runs here. You have to argue that Pakistan aren't stopping. They're 451 behind. They're going to need a monumental effort to get say 300 tomorrow, and then Evans Minister's 150 today without losing enough wickets. They're in a deep situation, not necessarily going to prove to be very likely to win, you would think. What's your thoughts? I'm not sure who's on Sam or. But we have got India versus West Indies later tonight. We've also got, other than India versus West Indies, we've also got the match which is happening much later between England and South Africa. My live channel as well. I'm just so Madison, if you're there online, nice to see you on the show. Madison's just commented to me in a WhatsApp message. Okay, there's a lot of things going on. Of course, the Commonwealth Games is one of the first things on the map there, and of course, the women's format of cricket, which will be T20, is being played. There's certain teams that are qualified to be there, including Sri Lanka, and obviously the top X amount of nations are there. So that's to be played in the next few days. In fact, when is the opening ceremonies? I don't know what the opening ceremonies is. I'm assuming that's not very far away. Com Games 2022. So it's from the 28th of July, which is effectively tomorrow, until the 8th of August. It's a very straight to the point set of events. It's literally starting tomorrow in England, in Birmingham specifically. So opening ceremony will be on the 28th, closing ceremony 8th and 9th. I just want to see who were the competing teams. Yeah, Birmingham 2022 will be the side that you will see. 1 day and 36 minutes, so literally a day away from commencing. Get something again, 28th of July, 8th of August, so we're looking literally at tomorrow for being a starting point. You would hope that there would be cricket as one of the so-called market. Oh, hello. Come in.
It's live?
Yes.
Okay. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
We've already started, so do you want the heater on?
Would love to, yeah. It's actually cold.
Okay, come sit. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Here we have, there we have, of course, none other than, so we have none other than, of course, Rapakshi Sharma has just joined us. How are you?
How are you guys? Oh, sorry, they can't speak with us.
They certainly can. They can message. Yes. I accidentally blocked someone just a minute ago by accident. They're there. So Sam Hislin's here. Okay. Do you want me to change over to this computer? Do you want me to, let me see.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's get this one going. So, guys, we've been joined here. Let me have a look. I'm trying. What time is it? Yeah,
You're actually working very hard to prepare for the World Cup.
Look at that. That's a certain site. That's another site we shouldn't be watching. There we go. Now you can't see it. She's terrible.
Don't worry, I'm learning from you.
That's a display now. We'll go. Yeah. We'll type your name in. Put at.
Red Rapakshi.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to? Yeah. Sharma. That's not my official name, but
that's okay. In the studio.
Yeah.
So
both sides.
We might have to.